What we're going to debate: garbage, Hitler, and war. What could bring the four of us all together, or five of us all together, better than that? Let me start with you, Ben Ferguson. It's been a tough couple of days for Donald Trump ever since the rally, which I was at Madison Square Garden, where they're on the back foot trying to defend what this comedian Tony Hinchcliffe has said about Puerto Rico being an island of garbage. And it must have felt like literal manna from heaven last night when Joe Biden suddenly appeared out of nowhere in his bunker on a Skype call, of all things, right as Kamala Harris was presenting her final plea to the nation. And he calls basically every Trump voter in America, so 80 million plus people, garbage.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. In this clip, we've got Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks tearing into Piers Morgan and his MAGA panel, including conservative figure Ben Ferguson. Cenk isn't holding back. He's charging in on issues from Trump's fiery rhetoric to Biden's recent garbage comment about MAGA voters. It's going to be a spicy video, so let's get into it.
Look, in politics, the last week of a campaign, your surrogate's job is to do no harm. And Joe Biden went out there and said something that was just unconscionable. And if you're going to say you're outraged by a comedian, and I didn't like what he said either. I think most people were pretty, bang on with what you and I saw. Like, come on, like, don't say that. I disagree with it. And it was a bad moment for the campaign because now you're not talking about the issues in that moment. But when he walks out there and he says that Americans are, as he describes it, floating garbage, that's the gift that just keeps on giving. But when you connect the dots, like as much as people say that he's senile and obviously had to drop out of this race, look at what the Democratic Party has said, that, conservatives cling to God and they mock God and guns. You have, Kamala the other day saying you're at the wrong rally when someone says something about believing in Jesus Christ. And then you've got the basket of deplorables by the way, Donald Trump's Hitler in the last week and that he's a fascist and that Kamala Harris believes he's a fascist. If this is your closing argument to the American people that we truly hate half of this country and we think that you are deplorables, that you are garbage, that you are fascist, that you are...
Here the MAGA panel is getting all offended by Biden's garbage comment, but let's be real. These same folks have cheered Trump every time he labeled the left as radical lunatics, fascists, or even worse. It's rich to play the victim card now and crying about hate when that's been Trump's go-to for years.
Nazis, that you are Hitler. I don't think that's the closing argument that the Democratic Party or any strategist would say, yes, this is what you should be saying in the last days. And I think this could literally cost them not just the presidential. I think this could cost them the Senate, and I think it could cost them some House seats as well, because it is the worst things you could say about half the country going into the final days. You're supposed to have some hope. I mean, Barack Obama, remember, why did he win? He won because he ran off of hope and change. There was some unity in his message. It was hard to land punches against him when he was running against McCain. And people felt like he was going to bring the country together. Kamala Harris is doing the complete opposite of that. I don't understand it. It's inexplicable to me that this is their campaign strategy.
All right, Cenk, you've been smirking there, but I've got to say, you tweeted several days ago you thought Trump might be heading for victory. When I heard this garbage line last night from Biden, and whatever the White House tries to do by putting an apostrophe at the end, trying to pretend he was talking about Hinchcliffe, it's very clear he said supporters. If you label Trump supporters as garbage, you are falling into exactly the same trap, as Ben Ferguson just said, that Hillary Clinton did, of wiping out an entire section of the American society as deplorable, garbage, whatever. And coming off the back of the absurd Nazi Hitler nonsense, what happened? My question for you is, what happened to the joy? Where's the joy gone here?
You see, I've still got the joy because I'm about to tell you how ridiculous you guys are. But first, let me acknowledge things that are true. So number one, Biden shouldn't have said it. Look, my co-host on the Young Turks, Anna Kasparian, has been trying to get everybody to stop attacking the voters themselves. I think she's absolutely right about that. I've been guilty of that in the past, and we're trying to get past this. So Biden shouldn't have said that. On the other hand, you know Biden's senile. I mean, look at that clip that you played, stuttering up Puerto Rico, Delaware, and we're still you guys said he was senile and should get out of the race. Now you're like, oh, no, he means it. He's perfectly cogent. He represents all Democrats. So
well,
that's
hang on.
By the way, don't say things like,
hang on.
Okay,
just
here
to
we
be
go.
Clear,
of course.
Just to be clear,
of course.
Just to be clear,
Ben speaks for 2 minutes, and I always get interrupted.
This is classic double standard on display. Cenk barely started talking and is already they're cutting them off. They love free speech, right? Only until it's speech they don't like. This is typical of these debates, and claim you're open for discussion, then shut down anyone with a different view.
You'll have plenty of time, but just to be clear, he remains the president of the United States. Joe Biden hasn't quit. He remains in the Oval Office running your country. So I'm sorry to jump in
Piers,
and point out that we may think he's senile, which I do, but he's still running your country.
Okay, Piers, you know my position on Biden. I ran against him because I thought he was senile and I thought it was ridiculous. But now all of a sudden you're pretending he's not senile. He is senile. It's like getting mad at somebody with Alzheimer's. What are you getting mad at him for? Well, that's ridiculous. But that's not the point, guys. Look, I'm granting you that he definitely shouldn't have said that. And Debbie Dingell definitely shouldn't have said internment camps because Trump never said that. Now, having said that, guys, are you really pretending to be offended after you've supported Donald Trump, who has said everything in the world about left-wing voters, radical left lunatics? Hey, here we go again. No interruptions. He's called them radical left lunatics, Marxist, communist, fascist. He said that we should use the military to attack the enemy from within. And then you're pretending that all of a sudden you caught feelings? MAGA, do better than that. You're being ridiculous and you know it. Now you're snowflakes. Now you're snowflakes. After all
these incredible insults. Hang on, don't all shout. Let me bring in Emily. Let me bring in Emily. Emily, apparently we're snowflakes if we're offended by Joe Biden calling 80 million Americans garbage. I don't think that's snowflakery. I mean, I do remember for the last 3 days, all I've heard is Democrats screaming.
You're all ignoring all the things Trump has said.
No, hang on.
You guys are so nuts.
Cenk, you've had your say. I'll come back to you,
Trump is the most vicious politician of our lifetime.
The way
now
Democrats,
he's like pure as the driven snow.
Wait a second. The way Democrats have pivoted. Hang on. The way Democrats have pivoted in the last 3 days from garbage is the worst slur imaginable to just because Joe Biden calls 80 million Americans garbage, suddenly, why are you getting so offended? Is laughable. Emily, to you.
Okay, let me make something clear. The Republicans are not snowflakes, and since Biden called the Americans who support Trump garbage, all I've seen on X are memes of people going to vote now in garbage bags, memes of people putting trash cans on the street and saying it's a family portrait. Republicans are not snowflakes, and truth be told, I don't think anyone's offended because, yes, our sitting president, who has nuclear codes, is a senile old man.
I won't lie. I sort of agree with the point that she made here. Putting so much power, especially one that could literally determine the entire world's fate, to someone who might be unqualified, even slightly, I think is not a great choice, I guess is the way that I'll put it.
That let me remind everyone, Kamala literally 2.5 months ago was endorsing him and reminding everyone that he is sharp as a tack. But here's the issue. It doesn't speak to the Republicans. It's showing the American people, despite Harris Walz claiming they're the party of unity and they're for everyone, and yes, Harris is a continuation of Biden, who's failed as a president, they claim to try to unite everyone. But then the sitting president goes out and says, oh, you all are garbage. We don't care what he says. He's delusional. But it speaks to their character, it speaks to their party, and it speaks to their values. And that is a problem, that they're showing the American people their true colors. Republicans don't care. Call us garbage.
How about
call us
your values?
Deplorables. We just want our president in office.
Okay,
Vajra,
I mean, look,
how about your values?
Whatever. Hang on,
Trump
Cenk,
does
I'll come
is
back
attack
to you.
us
No,
8,000 times, and you
We don't call
totally
you
ignore
Hitler.
that.
We don't call you Hitler. We don't say should go to camps for re-education.
He's called us every name of the book.
Hang on, we're coming to Hitler.
He's called us Marxist.
We're coming to Hitler. We're coming to Hitler, which is now only the second most offensive thing of the week. Vajra, from a political point of view, the stupidity of what Biden did can't be overstated, really, because Kamala Harris, I watched it last night. Look, I think she talks a lot of word salad nonsense. Honestly, I do. She wouldn't inspire me to open a crisp packet, let alone vote for her. However, she's the Democrat nominee. The polls are absolutely neck and neck, particularly in the swing states. The very last thing she would have wanted when she's presented her final argument to the nation is for Joe Biden, the guy she's replaced, who's still her president, to pop up on a Skype call of all things and say this kind of thing, which, whether it's been misinterpreted or not, and I don't think it has been, it's just such a gift to Republicans, isn't it?
This is me playing the world's smallest violin for all the fake outrage of MAGA and Trump supporters, who I believe are the most fickle, brittle, weak people on earth, who can dispense cruelty and demand civility, who hate safe spaces for everyone, want safe spaces for themselves, and who, by the way, with this hypocritical fake outrage, the reason why I don't think most people will care is because people know what Trump is for the past 9 years. And just yesterday, Donald Trump, who is running for president, Joe Biden is not, and Joe Biden, he's 81 years old, he has a stutter, and by the way, I appreciate the context that he gave. I don't think he needed to do, but he did. Donald Trump yesterday, final pitch to the country. You know what he called America? A garbage can. Donald Trump said all of us, 340 million Americans, live in a garbage can. Yes, he did. Yesterday in his speech, he said America is a garbage can. Yesterday, Donald Trump said Democrats, who are the majority, are sick and evil people. Yesterday, folks, Donald Trump, when confronted with these offensive comments,
if you talk about context,
let me finish, Ben. Ben, don't gish gallop. Ben, I'm about to kick your ass. Don't gish gallop. Just listen to me. I listen to you.
Dude, you're like a $1.20, and this is what liberals do. Okay. I laugh this.
Just let me listen. I'm going to do it with a smile on my face.
Hang on. Calm down.
I'm going to beat you up.
Don't talk over each other because people can't hear. But I do really. Hang on. I do want to see. Hang on. Hang on, Ben. Hang on. I do want to see Vajrahat try and kick Ben Ferguson's ass. So off you go, Vajrahat.
Not going to happen.
All right. I'm going to do it with a smile on my face. I'm going to do it relaxed. Yesterday, when Donald Trump was confronted with, I'm glad you and Ben and Piers agree that it was horrific, disgusting comments against Puerto Rico, black people, against Jews, against Palestinians, against women, which, by the way, have rallied Puerto Ricans all across America. You know what Donald Trump said? No big deal. Yesterday, this past week, J.D. Vance said, get over it. J.D. Vance, his vice president, is the one who called him Hitler. By the way, guess who said that Donald Trump praises Hitler? Four-star General John Kelly, just in the past 2 weeks. In the final 2 weeks of his campaign to unify America, you know what Donald Trump said? That the people who are against him are enemy of the people, another Hitler line, and he said he would unleash the military and the National Guard against U.S. citizens.
Here's the heart of it. Trump's threats of using military against Americans, I mean, that is kind of authoritarianism, and the GOP loves to throw around words like freedom and liberty, but when Trump suggests military actions on the citizens, they're dead silent.
Against immigrants and migrants, he said he will invoke the Alien Sedition Act that interned Japanese Americans. This is the same man who ran against the same man who promoted a neo-Nazi conspiracy about Haitian immigrants eating pets, even after he was told it was a lie. The Wall Street Journal, funded by Murdoch, not a left-wing rag, a right-wing outlet, reported that him and Vance were told it was a lie. He still said it, which has caused stochastic terrorism in Springfield, Ohio. So this is Donald Trump. The majority of people don't care. The majority of people know Biden apologized, he stuttered, and the majority of people saw Kamala Harris at the ellipse. 75,000 people came. You saw the last point. Last point I'll make. 75,000 people came out to see Kamala Harris at the ellipse. I'm so glad she was at the ellipse because you know why? It's a contrast. Kamala Harris was there for the Constitution, for the United States of America, for the rule of law. Donald Trump incited a violent insurrection. And just 2 weeks ago at Univision, when the 56-year-old Latino construction worker asked him to apologize for it, he didn't. And you saw that view of those Latino women. He is going to lose. I'm here for the MAGA tears. They're sugar for my chai.
Okay. He said for the MAGA tears, Ben. Are you prepared to start crying?
I go back to, and this is why I feel like it's going to be a very strong election night. There's nothing that was just talked about that matters to the people that are hurting and suffering in this country right now. Nothing that was just said there was unifying. The military? Nothing that was just said there was about the concerns of people that are struggling in this country with inflation, with illegal immigration, with convicted terrorists coming across the border, with those that are convicted of murder and rape that are coming across the border. There is zero concern for the American people in your closing argument. And this is the reason why Donald Trump will win on election night.
Ben, do you agree?
The only thing you can do and come out and say is, if I disagree with you, I'm going to kick your ass, which, by the way, goes back to what you guys do. We don't like you, we lock you up. We imprison you. We put you in prison.
Ben, do you agree with Donald Trump?
And then you're like, I don't like, I'm going to kick your ass. Like, this is your closing argument. You guys need to, like, get out of junior high.
I wasn't the one. I didn't participate in a violent insurrection, Ben. I didn't
Neither did
participate
I,
in a
and I
violent
denounced
insurrection.
it when it
MAGA
happened.
people
So
did.
guess what? We're not all. See, this
Do
is
you-
the difference.
okay, wait,
you
do-
guys hate half of America, and you don't understand that your hatred is
Piers, can I say
is
something?
saying everyone is bad when one person or two people do
let's
something
let
like
Emily
this.
say
Donald
something.
Trump hates
Hang
all
on.
of America.
Gentlemen, let's let the lady speak. Emily?
Please,
Thank you,
please.
boys. The problem is that I think the Democratic Party, they're way too emotional about this election. And it's funny that Wajat's
they're
calling
losing.
the MAGA people the sensitive ones. When you cry over misgendering someone, when a dude looks like a dude and identifies as a woman and is called she, you start crying. So don't talk to me about oversensitivity. That's a definition of the Democratic Party.
Yes,
You don't
homophobia
have
and
to like
yes,
Donald
go
Trump.
after the transgenders.
You guys have TDS syndrome. You don't understand that this is not about emotions. Ben just said it perfectly. Every single argument that the left uses against the right are not real factors that impact the American people. They're not factors that keep America safe. It's nothing that helps the economy. You focus solely on how does Trump make me feel when I go to sleep at night. He doesn't like women. He made a joke about a black person and a Jew and a Muslim and a Christian. Listen to me, that comedian, you guys are pretending suddenly everyone cares about Puerto Rico, but when they were after hurricane, no one gave a damn about them. But let's just forget that for a moment. This comedian makes fun of everyone. So talk about selective outrage. That joke caused selective outrage because he literally rips every demographic of people. And let me tell you the difference. This comedian is not our sitting president. When the sitting president calls half of America garbage,
Bingo.
that's a bigger problem than a comedian who rips every group of people speaking at a rally. Do me a favor, selective outrage. You guys can't stop crying nonstop about your TDS.
Yeah, I mean, I do think the point about
Donald
Tony
Trump-
Hinchcliffe is, hang on. The point about Tony Hinchcliffe, if you
Sure.
watch the Netflix Tom Brady roast special, he is the star of that roast. He says stuff that makes what he said at the Madison Square Garden seem like a tea party. I mean, he is an offensive roaster of absolutely everyone and everything. And nobody seemed to mind
No.
when he was doing it in a Netflix special, which is still available.
They loved it.
Tom Brady's roasting. Everyone found him hilarious. And my point to you, Cenk,
did it fit
would
any
be that
political agenda?
Jon Stewart, of all people, came forward and said, I'm sorry, I find this guy funny. And I wonder how many of the people screaming about Tony Hinchcliffe's jokes quietly found him quite funny. I didn't particularly, but a lot of people would have found his humor.
Don't lie. I think Tony Hinchcliffe's joke did make some people laugh, and I think if you were to hear it for the first time and not at least be surprised or somewhat amused, you would be lying. Does that mean like he was right in using that or saying that? That's obviously up to the people to decide. But in terms of being surprised, I certainly was. I did find it quite funny a little bit when I initially heard it, but that changed pretty quickly.
Funny if they know he's a roaster. But I'm feigning outrage. And then the moment Biden, who is the president of the United States, uses exactly the same word to slur 80 million Americans, suddenly we should all stop being offended. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah. So first of all, I respect Jon Stewart. So when he said he likes him as a comic, fine. But you're wrong about one thing. He slurred all of those minorities. You're right. But there's one group he didn't touch at all: white people, and men, and MAGA. Huh? What a funny coincidence from a brave roaster. So you're in front of MAGA, you don't roast them at all. All you do is roast people you don't like. Interesting. Okay, so now, but guys, this whole getting offended shtick that both sides are doing is maddening. There's a slight agreement there with Ben on, that I have on that. So
Wow.
after Trump does every insult in the world, you guys now are pretending that, oh my God, I caught the vapors. He called us garbage. After Trump, you loved when Trump said all these terrible things. So look at what actually is going on. Why is Kamala Harris pointing out at the end that Donald Trump is a unique danger? Because if you're being honest, he is a unique danger. You don't have to go to internment camps. You don't have to go to Hitler analogies, etc. But when the guy says that the left is the enemy from within and he might use the military on them, and there are his own advisors who said, yes, we had conversations in the White House where Trump asked us if we could use the military to shoot protesters in the leg, which, by the way, shooting protesters, it doesn't get any more cancel culture than that. And he said after he lost that we should terminate the Constitution. If that's not a unique danger to the Constitution and the democracy, what is?
I want to end off today's video. I'd appreciate if you guys could give us a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. I would love to hear your guys' opinion down in the comments below. Always good to hear other people's opinions and sides of the story. Hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next one.